Blue Beetle is a name that you might have only heard of recently thanks to the new movie coming out, or maybe you saw him in a cartoon or, various other places. Blue Beetle, Jaime Reyes, is probably the greatest Blue Beetle ever. But I won't be talking about him today because I think there's another Blue Beetle who deserves a little bit more love and respect and who I kind of like a little bit more. Don't get me wrong, I love Jaime Reyes, but I think Ted Korg deserves some love and a little bit of spotlight. Ted Cord is a really smart guy who can pretty much build anything. His father owned a successful company and wanted Ted to take over. Some events happen in which Ted needs to ask the previous Blue Beetle for some help. On that adventure, the previous Blue Beetle would die and ask Ted to take up the mantle, in which Blue Beetle would be now Ted Cord. And this is a really funny part I think about it is that Ted Cord couldn't get the scarab to work, which the scarab is the special thing on the back that allows them to have their abilities. So, with Ted unable to get it working, he decided to be Blue Beetle without the powers. I really think it's interesting that he doesn't have any powers and couldn't get the scarab to work. I really like that idea a whole bunch, and I like the fact that he has to just use his smarts and his machines in order to save the day and stuff. It just allows for a lot of character and stuff like that. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, Ted is pretty much just Batman, but honestly, I think their personalities are entirely different. And they're not even close to being alike, besides the fact that they don't have powers and they use machines and they're both rich. I kind of hate the whole argument of Batman being compared to everybody. Sorry, I bring this up again, I don't know, for reasons. I love Ted for a lot of reasons. The first reason being his attitude. In every situation, he's able to think and look for a solution and solve it. And I love this because, he's smart and he's able to think things through. And I just love the fact that he's able to do it, able to be a hero with no powers at all. And the ability to just see him come up with solutions is just one of my favorite things to look at and watch. And the way he adapts to certain situations and fights. I just love it. I just love that whole process. Another thing I find interesting about Ted is his ability to see the positives in everybody and in every situation, except his own. Although Ted's smart and has the ability to make machines, he oftentimes doesn't believe in himself at all, which I find is a huge part of his character that I find so relatable. The fact that you have these skills and abilities and talents and yet you can't see the own value in yourself is just something I struggle with personally, and I feel like a whole bunch of people out there do too. But like I said, Ted is not really the main Blue Beetle, and I feel like people don't really get to know and understand that that's one of the reasons why people love him so much is the fact that he struggles with his identity and to find his own worth, and the ability to believe in himself is just one of the most relatable and enjoyable things about reading Blue Beetle, Ted Cord, is because you just love seeing him go through situations where it seems impossible, especially with somebody with no powers, and yet see him overcome it, and then at the end of the day being like, nah, I'm just more of a side character, And it's like kind of frustrating because you're like, you're more than that, obviously. But then again, in your own life, you kind of see, hey, I have abilities to do stuff too, but you don't believe in yourself like that. But there is somebody who believes in Ted more than he believes in himself, like by a lot. And that person is Booster Gold. Maybe you've heard his name maybe once or twice, or maybe you've seen him in an animated series. I know he's in the Justice League, Batman the Brave and the Bold, and you see him just for a short amount of time, Booster Gold here and there. But I feel like overall, people don't have a clue who this guy is, and that's usually what I get when I ask people, like, oh man, one of my favorite heroes is Booster Gold, and they're like, who's Booster Gold? And a thing I get a lot is, why should I even care about Booster Gold? Like, what's so good about him? And ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to explain that to you in this video. Duh, that's why you're watching. Booster Gold is a man from the future. He was once a successful football player who was bound to go pro. But he started betting on the games and purposely losing them in order to get money for his mother's surgery. And then his dad came back in his life and then forced him to lose some more games in order to pay back his debts. And he got found out, got sent to jail, lost everything in football, and once he got out of jail, the only thing that he could do was get a job as a security guard. So, when he realizes that he has nothing besides football and that was taken away from him, he thinks, oh, I can use the technology and the equipment I have here from the future, go back in time and be a hero, and everybody will love me. So, that's what he does. He goes back in time, he uses his future tech to be a hero, and he saves lives, does some good things, does some bad things. And honestly, most people hate him because he just tries to be somebody that is lovable, and he tries to get everybody like him, and that just comes off super annoying, and he tries to get in the Justice League all the time. But the real reason I like Booster Gold is because of his flaws. If you haven't noticed, that's one of my favorite things about heroes. The last video, the Daredevil video, that's kind of the whole point of why I like Daredevil, because, you know, he has flaws. Booster Gold is a man who's very insecure about his image. He wants to be remembered for something, not lost to time. I mean, obviously he had the spotlight when he was a football player, but when he lost that, he realized that everything in his whole life was just for nothing. And when you go from being loved and cared about for being amazing, obviously you would want that same kind of love and respect again. So that's why he wanted to go back in time and try to get the love of the people, the Justice League, the other heroes, and he wanted to get fame. At the end of the day, he's a flawed human who just wants to be loved by everybody and the hero community, and he just wants to be respected and cared about. But by the fact that he tries so hard, everybody ends up just kind of hating him, and the heroes don't like him, and so oftentimes he is kind of pushed away from everybody for being so annoying, for trying so hard. And I like Booster for the fact that although at first it seems like all he really cares about is fame and love, he truly does care about people. What I find most interesting about Booster is his self-worth. His whole life he's been seeking the approval of others and truly never understood his own worth. In his run Booster Gold Pickup 52, he goes through time fixing events and certain things that happen in time, and all his heroics and adventures, he realizes that nobody will ever know what he has actually done, fixing the timeline, being the most crucial part of the whole DC universe, but nobody can ever find out, and nobody will ever truly see what he's done and how amazing he is. But at the end of the day, he realizes that he doesn't need the approval of others, and he only cares about what his true friends say about him and what he believes about himself. And one of his best friends is obviously Ted Cord, or else I wouldn't have been talking about Blue Beetle first and then Booster Gold. Like, it would have made no sense if I was just talking about two very unrelated characters. Okay, let's just get into their dynamic. Ted and Booster's separate are amazing characters, and they're honestly some of the greatest comic books I think ever, but they truly shine when they're together, and their dynamic is amazing, incredible. It's just one of the best team-ups, best hero team-ups ever, and it just makes me want to keep reading more and more of when they're together in a comic book. And one of the most recent runs was Blue and Gold, which I highly recommend. There's only 8 issues. It's a really short read, but it shows their friendship and dynamic, and it's honestly some of the best things I've ever seen in comics about friends. It's just nice to read about, you know? Like I said earlier, Ted is the only one who really believes in Booster, and Booster is really the only reason Ted has any kind of confidence. Ted is truly the only one that's really close to Booster and understands Booster and his urge to be liked, and Booster sees Ted for what he is. Ted's an amazing, smart man who can overcome any odds, and he treats Ted as he is the most important person, not just a side character. And together, they make the perfect team, and their dynamic is seriously one of the greatest in comics, and I feel like it's super, super underrated. Like, the fact that two characters can be so interconnected, and when they're together, it makes them shine even better. And the fact that Ted, you know, has this really, really bad problem with his own self-image, and Blue Beetle also having a problem with being accepted by other people. The fact that when they're together, their flaws and their insecurities are kind of pushed away thanks to their amazing friendship is truly something beautiful, and honestly something I just love about these two characters. And I feel like they just deserve more love and respect. And that's what I'm hoping to do in this video, is show you that Ted Cord, Blue, and Booster Gold are some of the greatest characters in comic books, and truly their friendship is something that should be looked at by everybody. So I hope this really kind of encourages you to like read it. So now to answer the question that you've probably wondered since you started this video. Why should I care about Blue Beetle and Booster Gold? And, well, to answer your question, who cares if you do? Who cares if you care about Booster Gold and Blue Beetle? It doesn't matter. These characters have always reminded me that what I believe about myself and what my closest loved ones say about me is all that matters. Sure, having the approval of others is nice, but who cares? What's the point of having skills if you don't believe in yourself? These two are peak characters who truly make me feel as though no matter what people say about me, no matter what the world says about me, as long as I know my own worth, as long as the loved ones around me care about me, and I trust myself and believe in myself, who cares about anybody else? I don't care about what people say about me, and I have to say thank you, Blue Beetle, and thank you, Booster Gold, for being amazing characters who show this amazing dynamic of not really caring about what other people say. And that pops up often in their books is like, oh, we're side characters. Nobody really cares about us. And you know what? When they're together and when they're friends, who cares? That's kind of the point of the message of Booster Gold and Blue Beetle is that who cares what people say about you? As long as you're doing something that you love, as long as you are doing something that affects the world in a positive way and the people around you love and care about you, then what else matters? And that message is so beautiful and amazing, and honestly, they rock. Blue Beetle and Booster Gold rock. So thank you everybody for the love and support. I didn't expect the last video to go anywhere at all, but it shot up like crazy and everybody had so many nice things in the comments to say, so thank you so much. I'm planning on doing this thing as long as I can possibly do it, and I love making these videos, so if you guys have any suggestions about maybe something you want to do next, I'm kind of just planning on doing characters that I absolutely love, and Booster Gold and Blue Beetle are some of my favorite characters that I feel like are super underrated, kind of like Daredevil, but I just want to give these characters a shine, a light to just be like, hey, these characters exist, you should really read about them, because there's a lot of characters that I feel like people don't really care about, or don't really truly understand, so they never really pick up a comic book and read about them. So that's kind of my goal, is to just explain how much I love these characters, because I've had so many conversations about Blue Beetle, Ted Cord, and Booster Gold, and oftentimes people just dismiss them because they're not Superman or, you know, Batman or the Flash or Iron Man. So I really just want to use this channel to just kind of talk about all the nerdy things I love about comics and characters, and I hope you guys are along for the ride. And if you like these kind of videos, stick around, subscribe, do whatever you want. I don't care. It's kind of the whole point of this video is like, you know, don't care about other people. Anyways, but thank you for the support. Thank you so much. It means a whole bunch to me. And if you guys really want to read anything about Blue Beetle and Booster Gold, here are some of my recommendations. Blue and Gold. Not recently, I guess, but within the last couple of years came out. Amazing comics. Honestly, some of the best Blue Beetle and Booster Gold things ever. And another one is Booster Gold 52 Pickup. I don't know if that's like the actual series name, but I own issue 1 of Booster Gold, and on the front of it says 52 Pickup. So yeah, that's what, I don't know if that's the official name, but yeah, read that. It's a really awesome run. Thank you guys, everybody. I hope you have a good rest of your day, good night, whatever it is. I've been Canned Ideas, and you've been an amazing audience. I wish I could speak English better, though. All right. Later, guys.